What's up, y'all? I'm finally here with this video I've been promising y'all for like 8 months. So thank y'all for waiting. Thank y'all for being patient. Before we get into this video, if you would please like this video right now and hit that little picture in the bottom corner. If it's there, hopefully it is. I'm new to this. But subscribe and like, please, 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 and share this with everyone. Disclaimer, y'all, I got some mini braids in my head, so please excuse the little flyaways. But let's get into the video. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about briefly is my midwifery prenatal care. Loved everything about it. I loved my midwives. I loved the environment. I loved everything about them. 10 out of 10 would recommend. The first thing I loved about them was the flexible time schedule. I never missed a day of work for a prenatal appointment. Every prenatal appointment I had was literally scheduled after work. And if you've had a baby, you know that is love. That's mad love. So that was phenomenal. Like literally I could hit them up the morning before, like, can we reschedule the appointment? Sure, this is what we have available. Are you still wanting to try to do it in the evening? It was amazing. The second thing that I absolutely love about the midwives and the whole prenatal care of the midwifery company was the interpersonal relationships. Cell phone numbers, texting, calling, the whole 9 yards. Completely transparent at all times, and that was something I honored the most. I could just call them at any time. So that was something that I knew that you don't really get the luxury to have when you have an OB, so thought that was pretty cool. The next thing I loved was I had a billion choices. I was literally the mom. I was not the patient or someone who was completely oblivious to all medical terms and tests. They explained everything to me XYZ. They let me know I had choices, and they let me know that whatever I wanted to do and whatever I did not want to do, they were supportive 100%. So that was really important. One thing I often share is about the glucose sugar test. I don't really know the correct name for it, but basically most times they just give you this like 50 something of this bottle full of sugar, basically. I didn't want to do it, and they were supportive with it, and they let me know what other options I had. And even though it was a little bit more work than just drinking, letting them test me, I feel like it was the choice that I wanted to make, and I enjoyed what I did rather than doing something I did not want to do. So, said all that to say, I had choices, and I appreciated those choices. And, you know, I feel like that's when you're able to learn a little more. When you're not just told to do something, you're forced to actually research which option best suits you and your baby. So I think I learned a lot about different things during my prenatal care because I had to do a lot of research, which I was already into anyway, so it really wasn't a bother for me. But I enjoyed that. I mattered, my baby mattered, my husband mattered. We were on first name basis at all times. I wasn't just another patient. At prenatal appointments, before we even got into checking the blood pressure or whatever the issue was, literally we had conversations about, how was your day? What did you do today? You know, how do you feel today? Has the baby been moving? You know, what do you think it is? Just little conversation to bond, you know, and I feel like that was great. That was a good feeling. Another thing, because we built that bond, we still have a lasting relationship to this day. Bryson literally had a red spot or something on him the other day, and I'm sending the midwife pictures like, what is this? Can you help me? Like, I don't know what's going on here. And, you know, he has a pediatrician, and I was supposed to probably contact them, but my first reaction was, let me call the midwife. Let me text the midwife and see if she can help me with this, you know, and she was available to me. So I thought that was pretty cool, you know, because after my 6 weeks postpartum, I was discharged from their care, but we still make contact to this day. So that's something that I really, really value about the midwifery care. Also, I was explaining to them, and this is something that I'm sure they probably don't regularly do, but I was expressing to them how I wanted to record when I had Bryson, because I wanted to see what it was like, you know, in the event that I didn't remember, which I really don't remember most of my birthing experience, but we'll talk about that later. They basically offered to assist me with that, and yeah, I have footage, and I'll try to include some of that. Kind of got to go through it because, yeah. But I'll see if I can include some. They were just kind of really open to anything I presented, and they assisted me the best they could. And the last thing was, I trusted them and they trusted me. They trusted me to make decisions. They trusted me to take care of my body. They trusted me to eat the correct things. They trusted me to take prenatal pills, excuse me. And it was just a 50-50 thing, or maybe a 100-100 thing, because I had to open and avail myself to trust them, and they did the same thing for me. Whenever I declined something, they trusted that it was the right decision for me and Bryson. So I appreciated that. You know, it's not something that you get every day, especially given the circumstances. So that was pretty cool. Now, that's how I feel about my midwifery prenatal care experience. I love it. I love them. I will include some information on the midwives that I used in the description box, or if we're on Facebook, in the caption, wherever we are, you'll see information about Full Circle Midwifery. I 100% recommend them. It is worth every penny you will spend. Okay, let's get into the natural birth. Before I dive into my experience, I just want to say to anyone who is contemplating having a natural birth, 3 things you got to know. Number 1, mental preparation is a must. You can walk all day long to physically prepare, but your mind is what is going to get you through that situation when the time comes. It is so important to train your mind for that moment. It's like a marathon. Just like you want your body to be ready, just like you want to do squats and hip exercises to make sure that your pelvic floor is ready and your pelvis is ready for that, your mind needs to prepare for that as well. If you are not mentally prepared, anything and anyone can change your mind about what you want to do. And trust me, it's real out here in these streets. So please take the mental preparation seriously. You have 9 months to get your mind together if this is really what you want to do. Because that is a big thing. It's tolling on the body and the mind. So mental preparation. Know what you're doing and why you want to do it, which is my next point. Know why you want to have a natural birth, because it gets real, and that's the only way I can put it. And I'm not trying to talk in code or anything, but mental preparation and knowing why am I doing this? Because it's easy to be like, I don't want to do this. Like, give me some pain medicine. It's that easy. But when you have your mind made up and when you know why you're going into it, nothing can stop you. Which leads me to my third point. My third point, there will be naysayers when you express to people that you are planning a natural birth. Wait till that water breaker. True story. I'm not being funny. I'm not making this up. Wait till you get in there. Girl, I made it to 3 centimeters and I got that epidural. You know, I'm glad that you did what was best for you. And that's all I could say at the time. So, the number 1 thing people feel, the thing that is necessary to do, is explain their birthing experience because you're pregnant. I would not recommend listening to that. And I say that in the nicest and most humble way. But what I mean is, if someone brings to you a story, a birthing experience that they had, it is nothing like anything you imagine having or anything that you want to have, it can scare you. It can freak you out. This is why you have to prepare your mind. So I just recommend that, you know, you get your mental strength up and you prepare what you want. you know, your mind to go to when you get in labor, because that's very important. And yeah, that's all I would say about if you're considering having a natural birth. Now, to my experience, to sum it all up, I would say it was pleasant. It wasn't this big, beautiful, and super relaxing and lovely, I'm floating in the clouds or laying in a bed of flowers experience. It's still childbirth, but it was very tolerable. It was very manageable. I don't have any complaints. I feel like I had a good birth. So I was laying in bed and my water broke on its own. I also want to point out the fact that I went 41 weeks exactly. We were expecting Bryson to come before 40 weeks, and he's like, nah, I'm chilling. I'm good. So 41 weeks, I'm in the bed. I'm tired, you know, ready to just have my body back, which I still don't have back, but you know, yeah. So I'm laying in bed. Long story short, my water breaks, and my goal is to stay home as long as possible. Well, after the contractions got a little intense, you know, I won't say when they got intense, because I feel like the contractions were the same level the entire labor. I will say that. But when I realized that they didn't feel like the Braxton Hicks contractions, that's when I said to Brian, let's go ahead and go to Mississippi, which is where I had Bryson. So we went to Mississippi, and when I got there, they asked if I wanted to be checked. And I think initially I said no, just because I didn't want to be checked at all. I wasn't checked at all with my prenatal care, and I didn't want to be checked. My goal was, when I get checked, I want to be like 5 centimeters or above, because I know I'm almost at the end. Well, I think by the time we got the birthing pool up and everything, which is probably like an hour, 30 minutes to an hour later, and I had a couple contractions, I was like, okay, you know, I'm ready to be checked. And at that point, I was about 4 centimeters. So I was really, really close to where I wanted to be. And I was excited about that because I was almost halfway to being done. So anyway, the contractions are going on. And I'm sleeping in between contractions and waking up, adjusting my body to get through the water waves or the contractions, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so when I got about to 7 centimeters, and if you notice, my story or my recollection of what happened is a little fuzzy because I slept like 90% of my labor. So I really depend on Brian to tell me what happened. And I know I ask him a lot, like, so what happened after I did this? Because I honestly just cannot remember my labor. And I'll tell you why once I get through the story. So once I get about to 7.5, almost 8 centimeters, they want me to try to push because they want to see like how Bryson is, you know, they want to see if I'm in a position to go forth or, you know, just kind of where we are. So when I pushed, Bryson's heartbeat started to drop. So they told me to stop, and then I had the urge to go again, and they allowed me to, but his heart rate started to drop again. But his heart rate was only dropping when I was pushing. So whenever I stopped pushing, it regulated. They explained to us their professional opinion. They offered us a choice. We opted to go ahead and go with the hospital. Still unmedicated. As a matter of fact, when I got there, I was 8 centimeters. I don't know if I was 8 centimeters exactly, if I was like 8 centimeters and some change, but I was 8 centimeters. And at that point, it was time. Once they got me out of the emergency room part downstairs and they got me into the room, I was able to change into the robe, and Dr. Pedraza was coming in, and it was time to push. Like, in my mind, that's how fast it happened. And I believe Bryson was there like maybe 10 minutes later or something along those lines. Yeah, it happened really fast, but it was a good experience. Laboring in the water was amazing. Everything was amazing. The support, the vibe. And if I can include a picture, I want to show you guys what it looked like so you guys can understand what I mean when I say the vibe was, it was good, it was relaxing, and I would do it again in the same environment. So I excluded a part of my story because a question basically asks about it, so I'm just gonna elaborate on it now. So the first question that I had from Facebook was what I did for pain management since it was 100% unmedicated. The first thing I did was a program called Hypno Babies, and this is pretty big. A lot of us don't know about it, but it's a pretty big deal. But basically, like I said, it's called Hypno Babies, and it's a hypnosis program for labor. So I mentioned earlier that in between every contraction, I was asleep, and not like a nap, like deep sleep. I was knocked out. I vaguely remember a lot of the labor because I slept so much, but I credit that to Hypno Babies. And basically, like I said, it's a program that trains you how to hypnotize yourself when you're in labor, and it's least effort. Like, I didn't have to tell myself, okay, when this contraction is over, go to sleep. As soon as the contraction ended, I fell asleep. It was like somebody was snapping and I would fall asleep, but there wasn't a snap. Like, as soon as the pain subsided, I went right into sleep. And that had to be the most amazing thing ever. It was great. And Hypno Baby saved my life. That's all I can say. The second thing that I did for pain management was, of course, the birthing pool. That warm water, it was relaxing. It was a vibe. It felt great. I would 10 out of 10 do it again and would recommend. Get in the pool. I think every time they told me to get out, like for me to walk around, you know, to see, you know, we could adjust Bryson a little bit, I always ask, can I get back in the water? Can I go back to the pool? It was great. It was great. So the warm water and the hypnosis together, that's why I just keep saying I had a great birth. You know, it was birth, so the contractions were not as pleasant as I would want them to be, but that's gonna come anyway. But as far as anything else, I was asleep, homegirl. I was knocked out. And that's all I had for pain management. As I stated before, it was 100% unmedicated, so the only thing I could lean and depend on was the hypnosis and the calming effect of the water. The next question I had was, what was the pain level and how was your 6-week postpartum recovery? The pain level, I would say, was maybe a 6.5, 7. I think I have a high pain tolerance, so my 6.5, 7 might be your 10 or whatever your scale goes to. But for me, in my mind, everything was going to end at a certain point. You know, I knew at the end of the day, when I left wherever I was going to have my baby boy, and I was not going to be hurting long. You know, at the end of this contraction, I'm going to go to sleep, so I'm good. You know, it was, like I say, that mental preparation is important because I literally mentally walked myself through this. Even though the midwives was there, Brian was there, it was a mental thing. Like, at some point, I didn't even want to be touched because I just had to stay in tune with myself, you know. So I give it a 6.5, 7. It was childbirth, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't. Then 6-week postpartum recovery. The doctor was amazed at how little blood I had lost and how fast I was up after I had Bryson. So it's my first child, so I can't really gauge, but I think I had a really quick recovery. I was home doing my thing as soon as I got home, so it was pretty good. How was it getting the baby to latch, the first latch? If my memory serves me correctly, Bryson was a natural. The only thing we had an issue with goes back to me being in the hospital. The nurses gave him a pacifier after I had him. And if you're thinking about breastfeeding, they don't recommend giving babies pacifiers at all because it causes nipple confusion. So he had nipple confusion initially, but what I did was, whenever it was time for him to eat, I would just give him the pacifier, and once he started the sucking motion with his mouth, then I would switch. And it worked out. The only thing that I would say about breastfeeding was I got engorged on one side and it was a little painful, but girl, little cabbage got that right on together. How much was the midwife? The midwife cost $4,000. Don't freak out. You can do a payment plan, and in most cases, or let me say in some cases, your insurance will refund. The midwives use the insurance for the blood work and stuff like that, you know, so you didn't have to pay for that. But as far as the services go and the entire package of the midwives, you do have to pay that up front or on the payment plan. And then after you have the baby, they then charge your insurance. So it's kind of backwards. They charge your insurance at the end, and whatever the insurance pays for, they refund you that money. So if your insurance does cover midwifery services, it's not like you really pay for it, because you get all of it back. So that's how that worked. And I think that's it, you guys. I hope I didn't forget anything. I'm going to try to add a clip from my footage of having Bryson to summarize all of this. I had a great experience. When I have my next child, I will be doing the same thing again. This time, hopefully, I won't have to go to the hospital at all. As a matter of fact, I want to stay at home the entire time because I know what's coming next time. So I'm pretty, I'm pretty hyped because I had the birthing experience I wanted to a certain degree. The only thing I didn't want was going to the hospital. But even then, we had an alternative route. That was a question I had that I didn't write down. Alternative plans. My midwives had me meet my backup doctor at about 20 weeks. So I had an appointment with him. He learned my face. He learned Brian's face. We were able to talk. And his nurse that assisted him with having Bryson was also one of my midwives. So even though I had to go to the hospital, I was familiar with the team that helped me deliver Bryson, which was another plus because, yeah, I knew who was there. So I knew I could trust them. I didn't feel any way because I had to go to the hospital because I already knew that I had great people waiting on me. As a matter of fact, Brian can attest to this. When I got to the hospital room and I saw the other midwife, I literally grabbed her by the neck and just embraced her because I knew it was time at this point. Like, okay, we're getting ready to do this. So even though I had to go to the hospital, it was 100% planned. Yeah, sorry for saying so much, but anyway, so it was still calming when I got to the hospital because I knew who was there, because we did have an intervention plan. So like I said, I would do it all over again. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to stay at home, but I'm going back to the same midwifery team. I'm going to have the same backup doctor. Everything will be the same if the Lord says the same. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope I said something that can lead you to do it the natural way, or to give you that extra push that you're looking for. Your body was made to do this, girl. Way back in the day before we had doctors, we was pushing without anything. So, just be encouraged. You can do it. And if you think you can't, give me a call, give me a text message, hit me up on Messenger. I got you. From hypnosis to pushing to water birth to breastfeeding, I got you. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If I didn't answer your question, comment it below in the comment section. Spam the comment section, y'all. Whatever I didn't answer, just ask it, and I will come back with another video. If I need to go in depth on anything, just let me know. And